Welcome to the AtlantECO podcast, where we talk about the science behind the AtlantECO project, the Atlantic Ocean, and the human adventures experienced along the way. Here, we have conversations with guests from around the world who work together so that we can better understand, manage, and protect the ocean. So let's embark on the journey of AtlantECO and discover the world that lies above and beneath the surface of the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. So welcome back to the AtlantECO podcast, and today we are having a conversation about ocean cultures. If you're wondering what that is, maybe you're more used to hearing the term ocean literacy, and we'll discuss why we're moving towards using the term ocean cultures. And to do that, our guest today is Leila Nefdt from the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Leila, a warm welcome to the podcast. I am excited to discuss this topic with you today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Louise.
And if you've heard the podcast before, you'll know that before we get into the topic of the episode, I like to get to know a bit more about our guest. So could you tell me about where your connection with and interest in the ocean started and how it has evolved over the years to bring you to what you're doing today?
Yeah, sure. So I would say I'm very passionate about all things to do with nature, particularly the ocean, and as well as community development. I am a qualified marine offshore benthic ecologist and recently graduated with my master's in biological sciences from the University of Cape Town. But I would have to say in the more recent years, I have become particularly interested in getting involved with science communication as well as public engagement. I was recently appointed as a director for a local NPO called See the Bigger Picture, which focuses on ocean conservation and creating ocean awareness through our Youth Citizen Science Defenders of the Blue program. And since last year, I've also been fulfilling the role as a Marine Science Communication Officer at the University of Cape Town Marine and an Arctic Research Center for Innovation and Sustainability, also known as MODIS. And then we create a space for established and early career researchers from various disciplines to collaborate on research focusing on several aspects of marine and polar sciences. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me and what I get involved with.
No, that's really good. And I mean, I relate to the fact of mixing the science and the communication side of things. Yeah. I guess that's why I'm here today as well, to talk about these things. And so today we want to talk about ocean cultures. And I mentioned at the start that people might be more familiar with the term ocean literacy. So let's start with this. Can you explain what those concepts are and why it is important to evolve the way we think and talk about these things?
The topic of ocean literacy, it's a term that we've kind of struggled with accepting here in South Africa. I mean, we do acknowledge that the term is a global north derived term. And when used in the global south, this term ocean literacy is not always received well, especially within countries that are perceived to have low literacy rates, such as in South Africa. So we have had a couple of discussions about it, and we thought of possibly evolving the term into something called ocean knowledges and cultures, where we feel that this encompasses various components of what the ocean has to offer, as well as how we as humans influence the ocean and how it influences us as humans. So it's a very interesting topic to talk about, but that's just kind of how we feel about it. And yeah, I'd be happy to speak a little bit more about that.
We want to focus a little bit about ocean knowledges and cultures, I should say. Yes. So ocean knowledges and cultures in South Africa. And there, three oceans meet, the Indian, Atlantic, and Southern Oceans. So it's a place with a deep link to the ocean. So we could think that there's an obvious and automatic connection between the people and the ocean, but it's not always the case, right? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what the situation is like. How is the ocean lived and perceived in South Africa by the different populations?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we practically surrounded by the ocean, and it really is amazing. And we as South Africa look to the ocean for many, many, many things, whether it be for food, extracting resources through mining, fishing. Many people create a livelihood, especially within those coastal communities. We look to the ocean for recreational purposes. There's also a very strong link with religious and spiritual connection. There's also transportation and many other things. I would have to say that several indigenous cultures regard the sea as sacred. And in some circumstances, swimming is discouraged out of reverence to spirits and ancestors who reside there. So within South Africa, we do recognize that culture and belief can be shaped by traditional knowledge. And although there may be challenges in the integration of traditional and scientific knowledge, I would have to say this is something very important for us to recognize. I mean, based on various discussions that I've had with students and various colleagues, some of them have noted that there are very limited opportunities for formal training, whether it be in swimming, water safety. And unfortunately, through past experiences or accidents that some of these people might have faced at some point in their lives, there's been an instilled fear of drowning, and that kind of forms a barrier for them to expose themselves to the ocean or to become involved with marine research. If I look at the South African coastline, sometimes you'll see that those that live close to the beach, they're either the richest of the rich or the poorest of the poor. And the ocean can become an everyday kind of thing for them. But for many others, especially within disadvantaged communities or those that stay a little bit more inland, most often they only get the opportunity to visit the ocean or to hear about the ocean maybe once a year. And most of the time that's usually found around the festive season.
A few people in the past, so I've talked, for example, to Noel Koch that has this program about storytelling and also training the people to dive.
Yes.
And that was really inspiring. And then talking to some of the researchers also, and everybody started with, I was either very close to the sea but never went to see it, or I was far from the sea and only went once, with school trip or something like that. And you would have thought, it's so close and everywhere. But you have to have a chance to get to experience it to maybe spark something, an interest But I love the idea of understanding the ocean through a different belief system, and the idea of respecting the ocean by not swimming into it, and which is very different, and it's very interesting to hear about that. So if we now turn to AtlantECO, so our project, and the activities linked to ocean knowledges and cultures, can you tell us a little bit more about what we're trying to achieve and where we're at with that effort? Because we are putting quite a bit of effort into our understanding and contribution to what can be done from the project knowledges into contributing to maybe like the curriculum or things like that. But I'll let you talk about it because you know more about that than me.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. I would have to say my current involvement with AtlantECO has been focused on ocean literacy across the Atlantic region. And this is basically through creating and making easily accessible resources available to the public that are hopefully relevant and relate to our oceans across nations, languages, and backgrounds for our partnering countries such as Brazil, South Africa, Europe. And just one of those resources has been the Ocean Literacy Toolkit, which we've partnered up with UNESCO to produce specifically for teachers to use in class. I do have to say that the toolkit does require some necessary updating. So I would have to say, watch the space. But yeah, specifically here in South Africa, I just want to talk a little bit about making marine knowledge and conservation a little bit more accessible to the general public, especially looking at local underprivileged communities. It has been a bit of a tricky task, as many of them are not as interested in what scientists have to share, because I'd have to say their values or their daily needs may be a little bit different as to what scientists may value. For example, us trying to share about the ocean or climate change even. Sometimes the value is it's a little bit different. And I'd have to say, despite the general textbooks and field guides that one can find in a bookshop or at the universities, there are several marine-focused organizations that do operate within South Africa. And they focus on creating ocean awareness. And this has been a very helpful tool in terms of communicating the importance of our ocean. You also mentioned, Eloise, we've got Noel Koch, who focuses on youth. So there's various tools that have come up in the more recent years, which has been very exciting to see. And specifically with AtlantECO, we had a master's student who kind of focused on looking at the South African National Marine Science Curriculum, which was actually recently initiated across several schools within South Africa. I would have to say now during the pandemic, it was initiated. And yeah, we had a master's student from MRC who ran a gap analysis on looking at what existing literature is found in South Africa about. We kind of had more of a focus on marine microbiomes, but just looking to see what exactly is out there in South Africa, what is accessible to the general public. And unfortunately, we didn't find much, particularly pertaining to marine microbiomes. From there, we reached out to Russell Stevens and Xavier Zalstra, who actually started up the curriculum, and they were based at the Two Oceans Aquarium here in Cape Town. And what we decided to do was to run a survey questionnaire, which the master student drew up for the teachers at those schools who taught that subject, for them to complete, just to kind of get an understanding of where they are at, what's their understanding of marine science, and how they've been teaching the various concepts of the ocean. So just to kind of get a little bit more insight as to how they've been doing, where do they need to improve, or how does the curriculum need to improve. So we do hope to expand on the survey, as we didn't have much time. We do hope to get more teachers involved and hopefully also get the learners involved with this initiative. So hopefully we can work on that within the next year or so. And this can hopefully guide us in creating resources specific to the needs of teaching marine science in South Africa. A lot of work still needs to be done, especially regarding creating ocean awareness, particularly with our focus of ocean microbiomes. But hopefully with the assistance of our broader international team, we can put together relevant resources that can share diverse ocean knowledges and cultures.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when you say, unfortunately, we didn't find anything, I guess it could translate into a great opportunity for us. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of knowledge that we have. Yes. There's a lot that we can share. So it's a great opportunity to say, okay, we found the gap. We were looking for it, actually. We found it.
Exactly.
Now let's work together with teachers. Let's work together with citizens. Let's work together with scientists, everybody together to generate the tools and the resources that are going to be actually relevant and useful locally, but also at the basin scale, the Atlantic scale. So I think it's exciting.
Absolutely. We're very excited to see what else we can find out and how we can improve the curriculum. We're still in the process of developing a plan where we can implement or create tools to assist the dissemination of these various marine concepts in teaching, but to also start that conversation between marine scientists and citizens, as you mentioned. We do want to increase the efforts of understanding where those gaps lie in marine knowledge, or the accessibility to relevant tools and resources for teachers and learners. So hopefully we get to a point where we can create a space where the general public can encourage, I would say, like ocean stewardship, using the available knowledge, whether it be indigenous or scientific, hopefully both. But I guess if anyone is interested in getting involved, we would appreciate any kind of assistance in creating that connection between the local communities and marine experts within South Africa or across the Atlantic region. And in terms of disseminating the information, we would like to create bite-sized fun fact sheets or infographics explaining these various ocean concepts in more simple terms, such as ocean microbiomes, or I know some of our focuses have been on plastics and the plastosphere, or seascape and ocean connectivity. And I do feel that these kind of tools can assist teachers by introducing the key concepts of marine microbiomes and possibly the general microorganisms that you find within our ocean. But for now, I would say stay tuned and watch the space.
Yeah, there will be more to come, that's for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, but it's been amazing. I think it's been a real eye-opener for some of us as well to just recognize the differences and the different perspectives and experiences of the ocean. Just that, and understanding that whatever we do, there isn't just one knowledge, there isn't just one culture, and we need to work together to make sure that this common resource is shared, is known, is looked after, but recognizing the local needs and local beliefs as well.
Yes.
So we'll keep up the work, and as you said, watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. Yes.
So Leila, I want to thank you really for taking the time to talk to us today and introduce that subject. And we'll keep the efforts going.
Well, thank you for having me, Louise. It's been great.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you next time. You can follow the AtlantECO project on our website on www.AtlantECO.eu, and you can also find us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. All the links and information on the project and on today's episode is in the show notes. AtlantECO is a project funded under Horizon 2020, a European Union research and innovation programme.